to the semi-main event of the evening, and it is the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. The current champs, the FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, making their first ever appearance in New Japan proper because they won these at the Forbidden Door show in Chicago, Illinois, or Rosemont, just outside of Chicago, against the former champions who they did beat for the titles, Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan United Empire. Again, crowns up for the best team going in wrestling today, but best group. And this match was an interesting match. It was, again, I don't want to shit on it because it was a good match. But I guess I had my expectations coming off Forbidden Door with how great their tag match was. Again, and it was a 3-way tag match, including Rocky and Trent. I was just a little bit. Was it Trent and Chucky? I can't remember one of those two. It was one of the Trent, one of the two partners. I can't remember which one, but it didn't quite live up to what I was hoping for. Again, it was a good match. FTR looked good, but when FTR came out, I noted when they walked out on the apron, I think they were expecting more. But with this was a clapping only crowd, and they got some claps during their entrance, but I don't think they got the reaction they expected because if this has been a cheering crowd, I think FTR would have got a great reaction. But they got their claps, but they looked almost lost on their entrance because they're used to coming out and going, having like American crowds in North American crowds just jacked up for them. So I think this was a little bit of a culture shock for them in the sense that they weren't expecting. They were expecting a little bit bigger reaction. You could see it on their faces. In my opinion, I might be wrong, but it's just how I felt. And then the match was good. Again, there was great stuff. Perfect. Like Cash Wheeler, I think one of the best guys going today. Him and Dax in singles matches I've seen them in tag matches. They're two of the top. Again, the top guys. There's a reason they're called top guys. Like there's this beautiful Hurricanrani he hit on Cobb early in the match, and just the work back and forth. Like the dragon screw that Dax did to Cobb. Like that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, that was actually something that I had noted that it looked like usually I don't know if it's just the person who takes it usually gets the foot a little bit higher, but it looked like Cobb had definitely rammed his heel a little bit harder and sooner than normal dragon screws, and it looked like it kind of did Jimmy the knee a little bit.
Yeah, and there was some really good stuff. Like FTR did hit their off the shoulder bulldog combo on the Cobb. But Khan did get that as broken. That pin followed it broken up. Again, I thought all these guys did a really great job, but it just again, I think we're still in that valley of it starting to come back up. And by the end of the match, I think it had really picked up in the last couple of minutes of the match. Yes. Again, this match was shorter than I expected it to be too. I think the timings for the last match and this match should have been flipped. And the last match should have been shorter, with this one getting a little more time, but. In the end, FTR did hit the big rig on Great Okan and did get the win, which is the flapjack into the code breaker, and for the win. And FTR do retain their championships and will be back on January 4th to face off against whoever wins the tag league.
So, that is true. There was also a deadlift German that Cash did on Cobb, which Cobb took very, very well. I mean, that is not a light boy to bring up and over your head. But also the Great Okan, all hail, he had an amazing exploder. I can't remember if that was on Dax or Cash. I feel like it was probably on Dax. I feel like he got really, really good height on that one. But yeah, like you said, unfortunately they weren't. The United Empire wasn't able to kind of come up on there, and Great Okan, I believe, was the one who took the fall on that one.
Oh yeah.
Man,
the news came out. Was it yesterday or today when they announced the tag league? Jeff Cobb will not be entering. Yeah, yesterday now. Jeff Cobb will not be entering the tag league as he has sustained an injury. Speculated is his leg. So it will be Aaron Hanare actually joining the Great Okan in the tagging as his partner. So we were saved from having Aaron Hanare tag with Gideon Gray in the tag league.
And speaking of Gideon Gray, one thing I did want to mention that we haven't mentioned yet was Gideon Gray was actually doing all of the intros for the United Empire personally tonight, both in English and in Japanese, which I find very impressive.
I liked it. I really did. Like I'm not a huge Gideon Gray fan for his character, but what he has done with this team to really like make them stand out with the entrances and things like that. I think it really does make them stand out because you get it's a very different type of entrance for them. And you also don't forget the Great Khan and Jeff Cobb. Was it Segi Miyagi was out with them?
Yes,
he's
he's
a presenter in Japan.
Yeah, I believe he ended up going on commentary, didn't he?
Maybe, but I don't know. He wasn't on the English commentary, which I was listening to. So
no, I think he was in Japanese commentary.
Yeah, he wasn't in English, so yeah. And all the English commentary, especially off the top, you really heard it. Audio quality was a little bit down early on in the show. It was Kevin Kelly broadcasting actually from the United States, with Chris Charlton broadcasting from somewhere else in Japan for this show, live along with the show. So the audio quality got fixed by about 2-3 matches in, but they were not on site, but they will be on site for the November 20th crossover show. And I think the first couple matches of the tag league.
Yes. And hopefully Kevin is nicer to Gideon Gray. My goodness, so mean.
He wasn't as mean on this show. But again, Chris Charlton was there to be mean himself. So
to help
Kevin
him be nice.
To be as mean. I think Kevin's as mean as he is to Gideon Gray in support of his friend Chris Charlton.
That's true. That's true.
So we're going to move on to the main event of the evening, and it was for the IWGP United States Championship. It is Tetsuya Naito challenging the current champion, crowns up for the greatest wrestler in New Japan Pro Wrestling going today, and that is Will Ospreay, baby. You may disagree, but I know I'm right. But this match, I think, delivered on every aspect I expected it to. It took their G1 semifinal match, and they topped it, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, obviously I'm a big Naito fan coming in on this, but Naito came in doing exactly what Naito does best, taking so long to get his gear off, playing those mind games and doing his poses, messing around with Ospreay. I really felt that Naito did really quite dominate Ospreay in the beginning of this match, leading to Ospreay really selling his shoulder, left shoulder as an injury.
He was focused on the neck and
the kind of trap kind of thing, but like the whole area would prevent him from doing Stormbreaker.
The reason he had to give up the IWGP Heavyweight title was because he had the neck injury.
That neck injury, yeah.
So Naito was really working that area, the trap, the neck, the upper back. He was working that throughout the night. I didn't like off the top where Naito threw Ospreay to the outside, went to do the fake out the dive, but then as he goes back to do his Los Ingobernables pose, Ospreay slid in and posed with him.
Loved it.
And then Ospreay screamed, "Nobody's faster than me! Nobody's faster than me!" I'm like, yeah, I absolutely love that bit. But again, the first half of the match was really. Actually, maybe first 2/3 was Naito just dominating Ospreay for a majority of that, and really working the neck, working the trap, working the upper back. And then it really picked up in the last little bit. In the last 10 minutes was where this match really kicked in gear. Again, I feel that's a New Japan thing where you get a slower beat first half.
Yeah, they lead you in.
Then it really picks up in the last third of it. And I thought these guys just killed it. Like they were fighting on the outside, beating the crap out of each other, and they're on the outside, and then Ospreay gets an os cutter off the barricade to Naito on the floor, and both men are just laid out, and both men just made it back inside right before the 20 was called. And just the drama they created in this, with Ospreay holding his neck and really being affected by it. There was this poison Rana off the top that Naito goes for, but Ospreay landing on his feet and hits the os cutter onto Naito, but is so hurt it takes him so long to get the pin, and Naito kicks out at 2. Oh, dude, the drama in this was insanity.
Yeah. There was one point where What I wrote down Frankenstein or Hurricanrana because I did not know what else to call it. Was that what you were just talking about?
Which one?
It was like
Oh no,
Will
that was the
Ospreay.
other one. That was the one where he did like the front flip DDT thing. And like it
Yeah.
was like an inverted DDT, but Naito flips over and then Ospreay kind of flips backwards, landing on his head. Yeah, that was
Yes.
another spot. I was talking like the one where he does on his
Yeah.
shoulders and Roned him off the top, but like the backwards poison
Yeah.
Rana. And but
Yeesh.
dude, like just
There
holy
was also
crap,
a
man.
wicked neck breaker from Naito on Ospreay, which I think
Oh,
also
the
helped
Esperanza
contribute.
there. Yeah. That
Mhm.
dude. And then there was this
Yeah.
whole sequence. I think he ended up Naito hit 2 different Destinos that
Correct.
Ospreay kicked out of. And
Correct.
then he goes for the third Destino, and Ospreay stops it, catches him with a forearm, and then as Naito's getting up, he just smacks him with a hidden blade to the face. Just brutal. And then he lines up in
Mhm.
the corner again and hits another hidden blade to the back of the head,
Mhm.
but it only gets a 2 from that. So that's where Will Ospreay hit Stormbreaker and got the 3 count. And man, this match was absolutely phenomenal, man. Like
Mhm.
this is going on my contenders for match of the year, man. It has to.
Yes, this was a really, really great match. Both of these guys, as you mentioned, playing throughout the show, they are as much entertainers, both of these guys, as much as they are professional
Mm.
wrestlers and athletes. They're showmen. They know exactly what they're doing and when they're supposed to be doing it. Yeah, this was the perfect main event to close off this show. And then to have the United Empire, gathering to help celebrate Osprey in his wing with his glitter and stuff was very
To that
nice.
point, it was only Mark Davis, Kyle
Mhm.
Fletcher, and Gideon Gray. So the 3 of the
Correct.
most recent members of the team out there with him. And
Correct.
Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis were in suits along with Gideon Gray. Actually, I thought
Mhm.
Fletcher and Davis looked great in the suits. Like the
Mhm,
suits, I
mhm.
really liked it. And then Osprey gets the mic.
Nothing's
Says
more attractive than a sharp-dressed man, just gonna
and
say
he
it.
Osprey says like talks about Finley and Naito and everybody else who stepped up to challenge him, and he's put them
Mhm,
down. And he says he talks about the crossover show, and it's an open challenge. Whoever wants it can come get it. Who will be next? Does somebody from the Forbidden Door want to answer? And he waits, and nobody comes out. Then nobody counts. So he says no one wants to get in and he says no one wants to get in the ring in the ring with the best wrestler in the world, which I agree. Nobody should, because he's the best wrestler in the world. And I really thought, for me
How is
personally,
it
this
you
was,
can be the best wrestler in the world if you're not performing in the ring?
but nobody wants to get in there because they're scared of him because he's the best. That's why.
I think it got proven, though, right after that announcement that there's
Oh,
someone who is
he
not afraid to get into the ring with Will
he
Ospreay.
suckered him. He suckered him. But the
Did
Empire
he?
leave the ring. Osprey's about to leave. Lights go out. Shota Umino's music plays. The thing show this. It's Shota Umino making his return to New Japan proper. And he comes out, makes the challenge. November 20th, it's going to be Will Ospreay defending the United States Championship against Shota Umino in the semi-main event, actually. And
Mhm.
Umino ends up hitting a Death Rider onto Ospreay, and then has to bail out because the rest of the Empire makes their way out, and they're all chase him off. But yeah, oh god, this match was so good.
Yes, this match was good, and the next one is going to be just as good. I'm excited for it.